jolting blast. Dozens die as a massive chemical explosion jars a Chinese city. What a mess. The fight to contain millions of gallons of sludge polluting this Colorado River. Vacation destination? Will American tourists flock to Cuba's infamous Bay of Pigs? And food fit for Francis. A tasty meal prepared for DC's homeless, soon to receive the Pope's blessing. Those stories and more on EWTN News Nightly for Thursday, August 13th, 2015. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brian Patrick with your news now. At least 50 people are known dead in a series of blasts ripping through warehouses housing hazardous chemical materials in Tianjin, China. Hundreds are hospitalized tonight, dozens of them critically injured. Wyatt Goolsby reports.
Brian, tonight the Chinese government confirms among the dead 12 are firefighters. There are also dozens of firefighters still missing after they were sent in to help, and authorities still don't know what triggered the explosions in the first place.
The first thing they saw, the orange ball of flames, followed by the blast. When I heard the first explosion, I thought we were finished, says Qian Jiping. He and his wife Gao Jing are migrant construction workers, two of Tianjin's 15 million citizens, a city jolted awake by powerful explosions heard and felt for miles. The house collapsed. We didn't know what happened, she says. We just held each other. Strangers pulled them from the rubble, barefoot, barely clothed, barely feeling the jagged shards of broken glass in the streets. They managed to carry some clothing and belongings, leaving all of their money behind. A choking chemical smell fills the air. They have no choice but to breathe it in as they run to this convention center parking lot. At the nearest hospital, a severely burned man is wheeled past waiting crowds. Others collapse from the pain or the anguish of losing someone they love. In either case, emotions are high. One moment we were asleep, the next we were here on the street, she says. We don't know what to do, where to go. A sleepless, terrifying night, an exhausting, confusing day, and still no answers for all of the people now surrounded by devastation.
And back here in the U.S., the White House has sent its condolences to its Chinese counterparts, a spokesman calling the explosions a tragedy and praising the first responders for working to help the injured. Brian.
Wyatt Goolsby, thank you. Some of the other stories our EWTN News Nightly team has been covering in today's world. The Colorado Court of Appeals says a baker cannot cite religious beliefs for refusing to make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple. The appeals court says it would lead to discrimination. Suburban Denver baker Jack Phillips faces fines if he refuses to make wedding cakes for gay couples. Phillips' attorneys are considering appealing all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. A county clerk in Kentucky continues to defy a federal judge's order stating Christian beliefs do not excuse officials from following the law. Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis cited her religious beliefs in deciding not to issue marriage licenses to any couple, gay or straight. Today, her office turned away another same-sex couple seeking a marriage license. Davis was sued in federal court by 5 couples. They claim their constitutional rights are being violated. 11 men on Connecticut's death row have their lives spared by a decision today from the state Supreme Court. The justices rule it would be unconstitutional to execute them. Today's ruling comes 3 years after Connecticut abolished the death penalty for any future crimes. Attorneys argued that any execution carried out after that repeal constitutes cruel and unusual punishment. The Connecticut Supreme Court, in today's 4-3 ruling, agrees with that position. In one of the deadliest attacks in the Iraqi capital in years, dozens of people have been killed in a Baghdad bombing. The Iraqi Interior Ministry says a truck packed with explosives blew up at a crowded vegetable market. 67 people died, at least. More than 150 were injured. ISIS claims responsibility for that attack. For the first time, the U.S. is using a key base in southern Turkey to launch airstrikes against ISIS. The U.S. wanted to use the base for some time. Only last month, after long negotiations, did Turkey grant its permission. The Environmental Protection Agency takes full responsibility for polluting a river in Colorado. Now, 3 states affected by the toxins are considering legal action, as Mark Irons reports.
Orange-colored water rushes out of the Gold King mine. This water is contaminated, but EPA crews are working to treat and contain the toxic waste, even pooling it before it heads downstream. The Animas River runs from Colorado through New Mexico and into Utah. Last week, the EPA spilled 3 million gallons of toxic sludge into the rushing river.
EPA does take full responsibility for this incident. No agency could be more upset about the incident happening, more dedicated in terms of doing our job and getting this right.
With the winding river travels fear, many opting to use other sources to get their drinking supply.
We just have to be on alert.
That fear is prompting 3 attorneys general to consider taking legal action against the federal government.
There's a lot of confusion going on,
especially since the EPA seems slow to act.
There is still anger and frustration with the EPA.
But while tests show this river slowly returning back to pre-accident levels, state lawyers say they will wait to file suit and see the long-term effects of this disastrous spill.
This is not the end of the story. This is the beginning.
Mark Irons, EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you, Mark. And new calls this week for an immediate investigation and prosecution of anyone involved with selling aborted baby parts for profit. It comes from the National Black Pro-Life Coalition. This as pro-lifers continue to react to a series of undercover Planned Parenthood videos. The latest video release features a former technician who harvested aborted baby parts. The whistleblower reveals deceitful tactics used by the abortion provider.
The coworkers I had, they would not consent the donors.
As a result of the release of these videos, Congress and 13 states have launched investigations into Planned Parenthood. Dr. Gardner is president of the National Black Pro-Life Union. So Planned Parenthood has been doing abortions for years, decades. Why investigate now?
You know, why not now? I mean, it's gotten to a point now where we see the evidence. It's all out there. We've been hearing about this for many years. First time for me, 10 years ago, Dr. Bernard Nathanson, who is the founder of NARAL, he passed away recently and became pro-life toward the end. But the bottom line is he told me that they were selling baby body parts, and he told me about the pricing and all that type of thing, and I thought, I couldn't believe this. But you know what? There wasn't a way to prove it like there is now. We have these videos out there. There is proof that Planned Parenthood is profiting off the sale of baby body parts.
So if these investigations are launched, and some of them already have been, what do you think they will find?
They're going to find exactly what we see. You know, not too long ago you heard about Kermit Gosnell up in West Philadelphia. He's the black abortionist that was killing babies in his own neighborhood, predominantly a black neighborhood. And we saw where there were many babies that were found afterwards frozen. 47 babies were found in those freezers there in his abortion facility. And you know what? Why would someone keep babies for that long? It must have been that he also was dealing in frozen babies, selling these baby body parts. The reason to investigate is because Kermit Gosnell was investigated. We found out a whole lot then. We're going to find a lot more than even what these videos show. I think we're going to find that there is a lot of sale of baby body parts. I think we're going to find more about late-term abortion. I think there are a lot of things happening there behind those dirty closed doors.
What about racism? Is that a factor in this?
Oh, of course, of course. You know, Planned Parenthood places most of its abortion facilities in black and minority neighborhoods. We know that. And the rest of them, by the way, are around college campuses. We know that for the most part, they think that if you're poor, if you're underprivileged, impoverished, it's better to go ahead and abort your child. Somehow that's going to make, they believe, it's going to make you have a better life, a more successful life. And we know that's not true.
I read a statistic that said that more babies were aborted in New York City in a single year than were born, black babies.
Yeah, isn't that sad? And the truth of the matter is that is very close to what's happening in just about every major city where you have a large black population.
That's shocking.
Yeah, and that goes for Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia, Detroit, and those places.
And yet we have our first black president of the United States who says, I'm going to veto if you pass a bill that defunds Planned Parenthood.
You know, it's just the only thing I can think of is it must be, like the Bible says, maybe people that have blinders on their eyes, they have scales on their eyes. For some reason, he doesn't see the truth. And we have to understand that there are people who just will never see the truth. I can't believe that Barack Obama, being a black president, you think that he would understand how important it is and that blacks are being targeted for abortion. But he is not doing anything about it and promises to veto it. And all I can say is let's see what happens next go around. 2016 is right around the corner.
The White House used the same term, extremists, for the people who are putting out these videos as they do for ISIS.
Hey, look. They've called us extremists. I think, as far as the White House is concerned, I'm an extremist, all because I love children. I believe honestly what God says, that children are precious, they're a gift, they're a heritage and a reward. So therefore, if I'm an extremist, then so be it.
Well, you make a great case. Dr. Day Gardner, National Black Pro-Life Union. Thanks for being back with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian.
Coming up, Cubans bank on the thawing of relations with the U.S. to bring a flood of American tourists to the island. And an NFL player with bad knees wouldn't turn down a blessing from Pope Francis. Check this out. It is the official logo for the Pope's trip to Cuba, just released by the Vatican. Francis visits the island nation September 19th through the 22nd on his way to the United States. Thank you for joining us this Thursday evening. I'm Brian Patrick. Well, Fidel Castro marks his 89th birthday today with a newspaper column reasserting that the U.S. owes Cuba millions of dollars. He claims the debt is for damages caused by its decades-long embargo. Meanwhile, the U.S. flag will be raised Friday at the American Embassy in Havana for the first time in more than 50 years. Some Cubans hope American tourists will soon flock to the site of the 1961 Bay of Pigs invasion. The small town of Playa Girón on Cuba's southern coast has it all. Pristine beaches, vibrant coral reefs, and a laid-back pace of life. What the area doesn't have, at least not yet, is many American visitors. Luis Garcia rents out 4 bedrooms in his house to tourists. He is one of an increasing number of Cubans starting their own businesses, thanks to a greater acceptance of private commerce by the island's communist-run government. Luis is building a second hotel around the corner to accommodate what he believes will be a surge in Americans visiting his town now that the U.S. has eased restrictions on travel to Cuba. Many people are getting their homes ready, he says. The future looks promising. If relations between the two countries become agreeable again, we will have a lot of tourism. For more than 50 years, relations between the U.S. and Cuba were anything but agreeable, something that residents of this area know all too well. In 1961, a brigade of 1,300 CIA-trained Cuban exiles landed to overthrow Fidel Castro. The Cubans call the battle the Victory of Playa Girón. In the U.S., it's known as the Bay of Pigs invasion. Roadside monuments mark where Cuban soldiers died in the fighting. Tanks greet visitors to the town's museum. With Castro's victory over the U.S., the Cuban leader consolidated power and Girón became synonymous with resistance against American meddling. Hotel owner Luis says he supports the Cuban government, but wants his town to become known as a place that welcomes Americans. I have waited a long time for this, he says. Hopefully, everything that's been promised and what we hope for will happen. We Cubans, just like the Americans, do feel this is the best solution. Hope for the future of U.S.-Cuban relations in a place with a painful past. And this may sound kind of strange, but a Philadelphia Eagles fan hopes Pope Francis will bless the knees of his favorite quarterback. Pratik Patel says Philadelphia deserves a Super Bowl win, and the only way that's going to happen is if Sam Bradford is healthy. The Eagles quarterback hasn't played a regular NFL season game since tearing an ACL twice in 2013. A petition requesting Francis bless his knees while the Pope is in Philly has nearly 6,000 signatures. Bradford seems a little skeptical, but he's open to the idea.
If I got to meet the Pope, I think that'd be pretty cool. If he wanted to bless my knees, then I'm all for it, I guess.
Catherine Szeltner spoke earlier with Pratik Patel, the man behind this petition.
Pratik, Pope Francis is the leader of the Catholic Church. Why do you think the Holy Father should make time for this blessing in his busy schedule?
Well, I know the Pope is a big soccer fan, and I hope that kind of translates over to him cheering on for American football. Having him come to Philadelphia is awesome. This is, again, one of the leaders of one of the largest religions in the world, and having him come to Philadelphia is an honor for us to have him. So I think, maybe he can use some of his sports passion and bless our team that, we really love here in Philadelphia.
And as Catholics, we don't believe papal blessings translate into miracles. It's not magic. You understand that.
Yeah, I do understand that. And, I'm not Catholic, actually. But the whole point of this petition was not religion related at all. Just trying to come up with a fun way to have the Pope incorporated with our quarterback, who's brand new to the city, brand new to the team, and we're going to need him to stay healthy in order to, win a Super Bowl.
And Product, as of this interview right now, there's nearly 6,000 signatures on your petition. It continues to grow. What do you make of all the attention it's getting?
I think it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome that not only, Philadelphia's been a big part of this. A lot of Eagles fans are getting in on this. My friends that go to Temple University have really gotten behind me. But also there's signees around all over the world. You have people from Pakistan, from, Alaska, Australia. People are coming from, all 50 states, from over hundreds of countries. And it's pretty great to see that, everyone can kind of come together for a cause like this.
Well, Product, you are definitely a dedicated Eagles fan. We'll be watching to see what Pope Francis does in Philadelphia. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Catherine.
And I can guarantee he'll get a blessing if he comes to the papal mass. All right. So if you'd like to see Pope Francis here in D.C., you might want to contact a member of Congress, and quickly. Each House member and senator has just one ticket to give away for Pope Francis's address to a joint meeting of Congress. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says Congress has more requests for this appearance than any he can recall. Vermont Representative Peter Welch already decided who gets his ticket: his sister Maureen, an Ursuline sister. Up next, reaction to Hillary Clinton's plan to shift the burden for higher education from students to taxpayers.
This truck serves the homeless, but will it also serve the Pope? I'm Jason Calvi. I'll have that story coming up next.
Peter approached Jesus and asked him, "Lord, if my brother sins against me, how often must I forgive him? As many as 7 times?" Jesus answered, "Amen, I say to you, not 7 times, but 77 times." From today's Gospel according to St. Matthew. Thanks for joining us this Thursday evening, the 13th of August. I'm Brian Patrick. Hillary Clinton touts her college affordability plan on the campaign trail this week. Clinton proposes shifting the financial burden for higher education from students to taxpayers. Her plan would cost $350 billion over the next 10 years. She claims that with more students completing college under her plan, the economy will get a boost. Jared Meyer, a fellow at the Manhattan Institute for Policy Research, is co-author of Disinherited: How Washington is Betraying America's Young. Jared, what's your take on Hillary Clinton's plan for college education?
Well, it's a wide-ranging plan, but I think the thrust of it is that it's throwing more money at higher education. And what we've seen in the past, everyone from the U.S. Treasury Department to the Federal Reserve has concluded that the more money we throw at college, the more colleges increase their tuition. So I don't think it's going to do anything to address the underlying reason why student loan debt has become such a problem: skyrocketing college tuition.
Are there any other proposals out there from candidates that you like better?
Well, I haven't seen any candidates really step up to the plate and address the current system of federal student loans and how it's increasing the cost of college. But I have seen proposals from presidential candidate Marco Rubio, where he talks about increasing access to massive online courses and other alternative forms of education that are really the way of the future.
There are so many millennials now that are really deep in debt with college loans. Can you put that into perspective for us?
Yeah, right now, the level of college loans is really unprecedented. We have an average of $27,000 for people graduating with debt, And 7 in 10 people, when they walk across the stage, they're not only picking up a diploma, but they're picking up a lot of college debt as well. And if we look at college tuition, it's increased 1,200% since the late 1970s. And food over that time, it's only increased 250%. So college costs have shot up much faster than anything else in the economy.
And a degree is no guarantee that you're going to get a job that will enable you to pay that debt back, is it?
You're exactly right. We have high unemployment rate for college graduates, though it is lower than people who didn't go to college. But right now, we have a system that incentivizes everyone to go to a 4-year university right after high school. And that's simply not the case. That's not the right choice for a lot of individuals. So what we need to do is be looking at more alternative forms of education and pushing students to maybe go to community college first and pick up a few credits or an associate's degree before they think about moving to a 4-year university.
You're a big fan of innovation here. Explain how you think that that's the answer to making higher education more affordable for everyone who wants it.
Well, not only will innovation in the classroom make education more individually tailored, but it will also expand access to college. Through these massive online courses that I hinted at earlier, we can enroll millions of students at a low cost. But right now, because we have an effective cartel of colleges, they want to keep out any change that's going to disrupt their model. But it's coming because people are demanding something else, and they realize that student loan burdens are putting a crushing cap on people's futures.
The book is Disinherited: How Washington is Betraying America's Young. Jared Meyer with the Manhattan Institute. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And tonight we give you a taste of a meal for D.C.'s homeless, soon to receive an in-person papal blessing. Pope Francis will make a stop at St. Maria's Meals during his visit to Washington next month. Jason Calvi dishes up details.
You have a place to eat. I don't.
But George does find a place to eat.
Thank you.
St. Maria's Meals feeds him and hundreds more outside Catholic Charities in D.C.
Let's bow our heads. Precious and loving God.
Where you'll also find Pope Francis, or at least a cutout, but the Holy Father will make a visit here in person next month.
There's a lot of problems out here that we need somebody to inspire us.
Francis will also bless the meals program. Anything else will be, well,
gravy?
The Pope's official schedule doesn't specify if he'll eat a meal himself, but he's known to improvise.
On September 24th, this truck will serve 600 meals and possibly one very special papal visitor. So what's on the menu?
It's going to be a nice, balanced, healthy menu, but probably a fruit salad, some kind of green salad or vegetable salad, along with a sliced chicken breast, some rolls, and probably a dessert item with a beverage as well.
Water, lemonade?
Maybe the Pope will win over Thomas, a lifelong Catholic who has his doubts.
He hasn't done anything for as me to say that's one great man. I hadn't done that. Now, John Paul the second? Yeah, of course.
George says the Pope stands up for those who can't.
If you got a human being that can speak out for someone that can't speak for themselves, everybody, we got a lot of people out here that can't. By grace, I hope that he'll be able to give us some inspiration.
That inspiration could come while breaking bread with Pope Francis. In Washington, Jason Calvi, EWTN News Nightly.
That's great.
Another ceremony is planned today, unveiling the Elvis Presley stamp at Elvis's birthplace in Tupelo, Mississippi.
There must be peace and understanding.
Priscilla Presley joined Postmaster General Megan Brennan at a dedication ceremony Wednesday outside Elvis's Graceland Mansion in Memphis. The stamp features a black and white image of the young Elvis, accompanied by Presley's signature in gold ink.
Elvis knew that that there was something in store for him. He knew when he was a little boy, and he felt that that he was hand-chosen and that he needed to fulfill it. He didn't quite know what it was. In fact, throughout his life, it was always searching for what God picked him for and why.
The Postal Service also exclusively is releasing Elvis Presley Forever, a CD of 18 Presley hits. Until tomorrow, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. You can watch again on YouTube. For our EWTN News Nightly team, I'm Brian Patrick. Thanks for being with us. Good night and God bless you.